Alright, so we got another product in for review. It's this BestArc 3rd generation plasma cutter. They sent this to me for review. One thing is I'm using my big camera for this, and I don't have a wide enough angle lens yet. I'm working on that. So it's just going to be some closer or some close-up shot, at least for this section of the video, which is probably better anyway. So we're going to go ahead and get into unboxing this thing. Alright, so first thing, we got foam. And then we got our, assuming cables, more foam. Here's the machine. More foam, and that's it. Alright. Hey, and I didn't knock over my camera. Fairly lightweight. Really thick cable, which is nice. What do we got? Let's see, we got our airline, I believe. Ground. Our 240 to 120. And then, let's see, we got some consumables, hose clamps, a tasty snack, and then we got our torch, and then a instruction manual. Alright, so this is the torch. See, we got 3 connectors on the end, guard for the trigger, air, trigger, and I'm assuming power, which it looks like you also get power through this as well. Let's see, and then we got this ground clamp, which is made out of some thinner sheet metal, but it's got a rather hefty spring, so that's nice. And then we got our airline, converter. So here are all our buttons and switches and stuff on here. So it looks like right here there's a gauge of where you want the pressure if you're running 110 volt, and then this one at the bottom is where you're going to want the pressure if you're running 220 volt. With this, you pull this out, so you'll twist that to make your air pressure go up, twist it to decrease it, and then you'll push it in so it's locked in place. So here's your amp switch. It rotates all the way around. So the back of the machine, you have your power switch, you've got your cable, and then you've got your air hookup. It says here it's a 3rd generation. They have up to a 7th generation, which it looked pretty cool. It had a touch screen, or it didn't have a touch screen. It had a digital display that pretty much had all of this. Top panel was a digital display, which I thought was really cool. It just looked a lot more refined and modern, which was, it looks pretty cool. So we're gonna go ahead and set some of these things up. So we're gonna start with this, which looks like it's also marked on the side, which is really nice for beginners that don't know how to set up machines. So here tells you that's where your ground clamp's gonna go. This one's marked red for pilot arcs. This is for your switch right here. That one right there. The bottom is torch hookup. Plugs in just like that. Set this torch up so it looks like this unscrews. And plug this in. Plug the switch in. And then finally our torch hookup. Alright, everything is all hooked up. Now let's take a close look at the torch. Alright, so here we got a torch. It has this nice guard on it, so you can rest this on your material when you're cutting. make a nice smooth cut. You got a trigger guard so you don't accidentally pull the trigger, so you gotta flip that switch up, and then see how easy it's going to be to change consumables on this. Speaking of consumables, they give you 2 new electrodes and 2 nozzles. There's your tip, which will get dirty with use. Just basically your standard run-of-the-mill plasma consumables, it looks like. So we'll go ahead and get this screwed back together, and we will look and see what type of material we have to cut today. So we are really going to put this plasma cutter to the test today, because I just so happen to have some 1/2-inch thick steel. I also have, I believe it is 1/4-inch thick 3-inch angle that we will also cut. Some stainless steel pipe we're going to cut, and some standard 11 gauge plate steel. So we're going to start off thin with the 11 gauge, and then we're going to work our way up to the stainless, and then the 3-inch angle, and then finally the 1/2-inch plate. Now, currently how I have power set up, I cannot run this on 220 volt. I could probably do it if the cords are long enough, but it's like all the way on the other side of the garage, and I'm going to be plasma cutting outside where I don't kill myself from all the nasty fumes that I'm going to be making. So we are really going to be pushing the limits of the 120 volt, see how much we can cut with that. And then if that doesn't get through the 1/2-inch plate or the 1/4-inch, then I will try plug it into 240 volts and see if we can cut through that. Alright, so we're outside, we got it plugged in. We're about to hook it up to air for the first time, and then going to plug her in. There we go. Sounds like we got an air leak somewhere. Sounds internal. Alright, I'm gonna see if I can figure out where that air leak's coming from. I'm gonna tighten this connection. See, I couldn't quite place where the air leak was coming from, but I only hand tightened this thing, so if I had to guess, I'd say that's probably where it's coming from. Okay, that is now cranked down on there. The other connections are tight. Alright, let's try this. Actually, let's turn the machine on first. And it shows it's on. It's probably pretty hard for you guys to see. There you go, it shows 15 amps. Right there. So let's go ahead and connect the air again. And there's that leak again. Still can't quite place where it's coming from. We're gonna go ahead and give it some air. So yeah, that leak's coming back. Sounds internal, which is not really great. We're gonna give it 45 PSI. And then let's see if the pilot arc will kick on. All right, let's give this a shot. So yeah, the pilot arc kicks on. Okay, so while this is charged up, we're gonna go ahead and try and cut some material on here. I have my welding hood. I have it set for a shade 5, so that's something along the lines of how dark you'd want it when you're plasma cutting. We're gonna go ahead and start with this 11 gauge steel. We're going to run it probably at around 25 amps, I think will be good. We're gonna go ahead and do the first cut. I got the ground hooked up to this table. See how this thing cuts. I think it needs a little bit more amps, so I'm gonna go ahead and bump it up to around 30 amps. as I suspected, killed the breaker. So I'm thinking I'm gonna have to run this off 240 volts. But the bad thing is that the leads aren't quite long enough. So I'm just gonna have to try and experiment. So we're gonna go ahead and continue with this cut. See if we can finish it. Yep. Ta-da! So it cuts, and it sounds like that air leak isn't as bad as it was. So yeah, that was on 30 amps. There you go, you can kind of see that. And it looks like we're almost out of air because I kicked off the air compressor. So what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna try and get this machine to set up for 240 volts, and then we're gonna continue the video from there if I can. If not, then we're just gonna see how far I can make it on 120 volts. So yeah, I just looked around, tried to see if I could plug this machine into my one 240 volt outlet I have. It's all the way in the back against the far wall. And I don't know if you can see this, but that's all. This is all the cord you get, which is like, I don't know, 4 feet. It wouldn't even reach into the garage. So therefore, this is definitely a complaint, is a really short cord. I like having longer cords so I can, you know, plug into my one outlet that I actually have set up for welding or, you know, machines like this, but I can't, so I have to stick to 120 volts. Okay, so we got some things switched around. I got this plasma cutter on its own circuit over there. So far, some really annoying things are this internal air leak, which I have no idea where it's coming from. It's not coming from this. It's not coming from this. It's coming from inside here somewhere. So I imagine probably in another video I'm going to open this thing up and see if I can diagnose that. But I mean, it still works, so it's not that bad. But so far the most annoying thing is this stupidly short power cable. And I mean, it's like 3 feet. There's not really much you can do with 3 feet in a shop, in a garage, or really anything. So yeah, so far that is my #1 complaint. But since I have the air compressor and the plasma cutter on a different circuit, we will now see how much better it cuts. Alright, so just like last time, we're going to try this again with the 11 gauge plate right here. Once again, we have the plasma cutter at 30 amps. Much cleaner, much smoother. I'm much happier with that. Stainless steel pipe. We're going to try this at 30 amps again and see how this runs. Now we're through. Ta-da! Now we're going to bump it up to the next thing on 110 volts, and that will be the 1/4 inch angle. I imagine this might take a sec to pierce through. Nope, just cuts right through it like butter. This takes a little bit longer to cut, but no. Blew the breaker. And now finally, just out of curiosity, I know it won't cut it on 120 volts, but we have this 1/2 inch plate. I want to see how far I can get through it before I pop the breakers. Nope. Going too fast. Yep, so it kind of pierced through it a little bit. Hold on a sec. So that was my somewhat basic review of this machine. I didn't get in very much in depth today because mainly I'm having quite a few power issues. The breaker keeps popping on the 120 volt side, and I can't reach my 240 volt outlet with this machine, or at least how it is right now. So basically what this video is going to be is just testing this on 200 or 120 volts, and then I'm going to modify this machine. I'm going to either get an extension cord for 240 volts or make this cord longer so I can actually try it out on 240 volts, and then I will do another video testing this machine out on 240 volts. We can unlock the full potential of the machine, see actually how thick of material it'll cut. So yeah, that's gonna be in the next couple videos, and I'm also gonna try and diagnose this annoying air leak, see if there's just like a loose connector in there, if there's a gasket out of place, something like that. So far, we test several different materials. We know it'll cut up to 1/4 inch on 120 volts, which is, you know, respectable. We never hit the duty cycle on this thing. So far, some things that I like about this machine, will go into pros and cons. Start off with cons. Clearly, I've mentioned it multiple times, this extremely short cord. Like if you're in a shop or you're in your garage or something like that and you just want a you know, a hobbyist type plasma cut or something to cut some stuff with, you need to have your port or your plug-in pretty much right next to where you are planning on cutting, or you need to have an extension cord, because the length of this cord is just not going to get you anywhere. So that's mainly the only con, I think, so far, because whenever I was cutting it, cut just fine. So I guess some pros of this thing, I like this, you know, that this knob locks, so you're not going to be, you know, bumping this around and messing around with your air. I like how lightweight it is. It's pretty light. I guess another con would be if you want it to be easily stored. It's not really that easy to store just because of all these connectors on the front. It'd be nice if they could just make it like 1 or maybe 2 connectors with like power, and then you combine the pilot arc and the switch, or the pilot arc and the power. I mean, at the end of the day, it's not that big of a deal, but if you want something that's... So yeah, once again, I want to reiterate that BestArc did send me this machine out to review. They first promised me with like their newest 7th generation machine, but then they changed their mind and said they were going to send me the 3rd generation machine, so that's a little disappointing. I was honestly really looking forward to reviewing that machine, but who knows, maybe I'll get to review it in the future, or maybe not, we'll see. Yeah, just want to say thanks for sending this machine out. Hope you guys enjoyed this, you know, fairly basic review on it, since like I said, I'm having power issues and a little bit of air issues, but you know, I'll fix those, and then we'll actually put this machine to the test and, you know, cut some of that 1/2 inch plate up and see just how much this machine can take. But that'll be in the next, like I said, the next couple videos. So hopefully you enjoyed. Hopefully if you're looking at getting, you know, a cheaper plasma cutter, like a hobbyist grade plasma cutter, you know, you found this video helpful. Like I said, I haven't used it enough to know if I'll recommend it or not. I will, like I said, that'll be something in the next couple videos where hopefully I'll have power issues sorted out, camera issues sorted out, to where, you know, I don't have to sit 15 feet away from the camera for you to even see me in frame. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed